song's a rock song, but I mean, just like there were other songs, and I don't remember if they were in the movie on the soundtrack album or not. But regardless, then I was talking to this guy who was putting together the DVD,
Mm-hmm.
and he was looking for extras, and he was like, oh, there's a whole song. There's really, I mean, there's more than this just in the movie. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole song.
Oh well,
man.
we could use that, and then so they took my song, used it as an extra. They had no video of it, so they just used a still picture of from the movie of like a record player.
Of a record player. That's great.
But I got $5,000 for
Hey,
that,
man.
you know, which is
That's-
more than I got for the movie,
It's
and
an
I'm sure it would
easy
have been
five-
more than I would have
$5,000.
gotten from the album too. you know?
Probably so. So it worked out on the DVD side. Yeah,
Yes.
never discount
So it did work
those
out.
DVD extras. So we're talking about film, but I just wanted to switch gears a little bit from the musical side of film to sort of touch a little bit on your parallel career as a film sound editor. Now you'd mentioned that before. Now you've in that role you've sort of worked on also some pretty amazing Academy Award winning films like Chicago and Ron Howard's A Beautiful Mind. Can you tell us a little bit about your film sound editing work and what it's
Sure.
like to sort of contribute to films of that caliber?
Yeah, well, when I got out of film school and I wanted to get into editing, aside from writing, I was into editing.
Mm-hmm.
So the first job I got was just some super low budget thing. I don't even remember what it was. I mean, of course, it's decades ago.
No,
but
when you
still,
say
it was like-
editing, you mean film editing, picture and sound.
yeah, I
Right,
mean
right, okay.
the picture side of it, So the first job I had was like an assistant. I got into assistant. It was like such a low budget thing. I think I was making $250 a week or nothing. And initially, first I was just making my car fare, but then somebody left and I replaced it. Yeah. Then I met someone, and it's crazy because someone I had met at a party, and is still my friend, although I don't really see him much anymore. But I met somebody at a party, and he eventually got me work as an assistant editor on these Orville Redenbacher commercials.
Cool.
In the late '80s,
Right, sure.
And then
I remember them.
it was at Maisels Films. They're renowned. They were renowned documentarians.
Sure.
But then they started making these, cinema verite commercials.
Mm-hmm.
People would hire them to bring their, experience with these documentaries.
It was like the Maisel brothers, right? Is that their...
Right, yeah. Albert and David. One guy, did the camera, and the other did the sound.
Microphones on. You're watching QPTV Daily Social Live. QPTV.org's live daily show. I'm your host for today, James. Let's get started. Today, just a quick update that we have a ton of resources, information, links, and videos on COVID-19, and especially COVID-19 in Queens. QPTV's own Queens Conversations and Queens Perspectives has an ongoing series of episodes focusing on COVID-19 in Queens. Go to QPTV.org to check it all out.
With COVID-19 vaccines here, New York City is coming back strong. Safe and effective vaccines are coming to all New Yorkers soon. Get vaccinated when it becomes available to you. Learn more at nyc.gov/COVID vaccine. With
Bear with me, folks. As you can see, spring isn't quite here yet. Getting closer, though. Well, I want to remind you that QPTV and QPTV.org has live programs. You're probably watching this one right now. And you're wondering, how can I find out when all these wonderful live informational programs? When can I find out when I can watch them live? All you have to do, go to qptv.org/newsletter. Sign up. You'll get all the updates. It's that simple. qptv.org/newsletter for updates. What's next on the today's show? You will find out right after this.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Choksi, the city's doctor. COVID-19 vaccines have arrived in New York City, and the end of this pandemic may be within sight. At this momentous time, we must recommit to keeping ourselves and our city healthy. To do so, we must continue to wear our masks, keep physical distance, stay home when sick, wash our hands often, and get tested, even after you've been vaccinated. Continue these 5 key actions to prevent the spread of COVID-19 and keep us, our loved ones, and our city healthy. Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Choksi, the city's doctor.
QPTV Radio is on the air, providing community-centered programming from Queens Public Television in New York City. QPTV Radio offers an interesting and eclectic mix of unique content, from QPTV's original podcasts to audio versions of our award-winning television programs. Listen to QPTV Radio at qptv.org or download the Live 365 app on your mobile device, and you can listen to QPTV Radio on the go.
Okay, now I can't promise that the rest of the little promos in between the segments won't have that little loop at the end. I may have forgotten to take that out. So we'll see. But let's continue. Yesterday I had a hard time reading all of this because I had an issue with my, we'll call it a prompter. But I'm back today. I think I fixed it. So let's do this. As soon as it comes up on the screen. We're getting there. Okay, Queen's Conversations is the live talk show featuring QPTV's award-winning production and hosting team, Lucia Dragos, Noran Omar, and John Collins, having discussions with a diverse spectrum of Queens residents and leaders. Every topic is incredibly relevant, and every discussion is enlightening. And over 100 years ago, suffragettes and their supporters succeeded in passing the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. The struggle for equality, diversity, and inclusion continues to this day. Although women constitute almost 53% of the population, many industries and enterprises do not reflect this percentage and remain significantly male-dominated. This episode of Queen's Conversations will feature 2 women who challenged the status quo when they successfully entered the world of sports. Colette V. Smith was the first female coach in the franchise history of the New York Football Jets. She was also the first African-American female coach in the NFL. Also joining us will be Lucille Cavalos, a pioneer and legend in women's basketball. She turned down 2 offers from professional teams to embark on a legendary coaching career at Queens College and help bring women's collegiate basketball before the nation in the early 1970s. We will also talk with Mala Pandey, excuse me if I'm not pronouncing the names correctly, the principal of the Young Women's Leadership School of Queens. As part of a nationwide network, the school encourages young women to follow their dreams and stay on the path to college and future successful careers. Please join our discussion as we help celebrate Women's History Month on Queens Conversations. And you'll want to check that out live here on QPTV.org and on the channels on Thursday at 3 p.m. And it's going to be an incredible show. If you were watching yesterday, we had a little feature from an episode from a couple of years ago on Colette B. Smith with Lucia. And it's an excellent, beautiful looking piece that was shot there in MetLife Stadium. So you definitely want to go back and check that out. You can watch that episode on yesterday's show, but you could also go to qptv.org/aroundqueens to find that episode and all of the amazing episodes of Around Queens produced by Lucia and the QPTV production team. Check that out right here on QPTV.org live. Thursday. Of course, we're all over social media. We want to make it easy for you to find us. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Besides the stream that you're watching now, you can message us, follow us, subscribe. And then, if you're on any of these networks, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter, feel free to message us, follow us, say hello, tell us what you're thinking. Even a complaint. We'd like to hear it all. Send us an email, themedia@qptv.org. Questions, comments. We love reading email. And then, of course, you didn't remind me, audience. Remind me again. We got to set up a tutorial on how to program your remote and set QPTV on your favorites. We're on Spectrum, RCN, Verizon Files. Go to qptv.org/guide for the lineup and what's on. This is QPTV Daily Social Live.
Hi, I'm Lori. I study the planets, our solar system, and I especially love volcanoes. And this is Ask NASA. The thing I love the most about our solar system is that it's an incredible natural laboratory. We have so many different types of objects in the solar system, from planets and moons and asteroids and comets. We can study each one of those, and they all have something they can tell us about how the solar system formed or how Earth ended up in its special place. And understanding why the other planets are different from Earth actually helps us better understand how we ended up the way we are today. So this is a globe of Mars right here. And many of the reasons why we're so interested in Mars, there's a lot of different processes going on Mars that help us better understand Earth. A lot of the surface of Mars has been preserved for almost 4 billion years. And so we can study a lot of things on Mars that you can't even find on Earth.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the signs of past life.
So Perseverance rover is going to drive around and find some of the best rocks it can, drill down into the rock and soil and collect those samples so that on our next mission, Mars Sample Return, we'll be able to bring those back and study them in our laboratories here on Earth. There is volcano on Mars. In fact, there's lots of volcanoes on Mars. The largest volcano we know of in our whole solar system is on Mars. It's called Olympus Mons, and it is so giant that the entire chain of Hawaiian Islands could fit inside the crater at the top of that volcano. We see volcanoes really across the solar system on all of our rocky bodies. So on Mercury, we see evidence of lava flows on the surface of Mercury. Even on the moon, we have lava flows that we can see. On Venus, we see the entire surface of Venus is covered with lots of volcanoes and volcanic deposits. So this is a globe of the moon Io. Io is the moon of Jupiter. That's the most volcanically active body in our solar system. And that's because the pull of Jupiter's gravity on Io as it goes around Jupiter tugs and pulls at Io, and that heats up the inside, and that drives volcanoes. The heat needs to be released. This is the volcano Pele. And there's lava flows down here in the middle, but then there's also this big red-orange deposit, which is actually from explosive eruption of the gases that are falling down onto the surface of Io around the volcano. And it has no atmosphere, so if you were to turn it like this and look at this volcano from the side, you see a big umbrella of gas. The particles just come out and then they drop back down. And I started studying volcanoes on Earth about 35 years ago, and then started studying volcanoes on other planets, and that grew into my love of our solar system. So the asteroid belt really contains a lot of leftover material from solar system formation. You can imagine that when the solar system first formed, the particles kind of came together and made bigger particles. Some of those came together and created the planets. We actually find asteroids in lots of different parts of our solar system. We have asteroids that are near Jupiter, the Lucy mission, which is going to launch this year in 2021, and it's going to go study those special asteroids that are trapped in Jupiter's orbit. And then next year we have another mission called Psyche that's going to a particular asteroid called Psyche. It looks to be made mostly of metal, of iron. It may actually be the exposed core of a small planet that may have had its crust blown off by an impact and left that metal core that we can see. There is definitely water on the moon. We know this because we've observed with some of our orbiters being able to identify that there's water molecules on the moon. And in fact, some of these we believe are preserved as water ice, perhaps in these permanently shadowed regions that are very, very cold near the poles. And what we need to do next is to actually go down to the surface of the moon and actually look at that ice up close. And so that's what we're doing with the Artemis mission. We'll be focused on looking for some of that water in the soil of the moon. We have explored really the far reaches of our solar system. We have sent missions to Mercury near the sun and visited all of the planets in our solar system, all the way out even to Pluto. And then one of our missions, called Voyager, actually has 2 spacecraft that have now even gone beyond the edges of our solar system. So we have really explored the whole expanse of our solar system.
Cool. Io and Mars are great.
Let's try it again. Oh, that's too high.
That was a fastball. She had a fastball.
Do you have a question for NASA? Send your questions to our experts using hashtag AskNASA.
So, on QPTV.org right now, you can find Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz's scam awareness
Hi,
and
Buzz.
fraud
Welcome.
protection webinar.
How is
Let me
everyone?
lower the volume on
Good,
that.
ma'am. How are you?
So this is an incredibly informative program brought to you by the District Attorney of Queens, Linda Katz, and a panel of experts who not only describe the scams that you should be looking out for, but also demonstrate. And they go in depth. It's an incredibly informative program. Go to qptv.org to check it out. I suggest as soon as this program's over. Once again, we're on social media, folks, and we want to make it easy for you to contact us. Go to Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter. You're not limited to use one of these. We prefer, if you're going to send us a message, that you don't send it across all platforms. You pick your favorite. Or you can email us directly, media@qptv.org. I will read it, and I'll see it. You'll know you're emailing a real person. And of course, go to qptv.org/guide to find all your local cable carrier information. We're on Spectrum, RCN, and Verizon Fios. And again, I'll try, because we're running low on time, we'll try to squeeze in a couple minutes from Queen's Perspective Spotlight, Violence Against Asian Americans, featuring an interview with Rosalind Nieves, Senator John Liu, and City Council Member Peter Koo. Let's jump right into that.
Hello, I'm Rosalind Nieves. Welcome to Queen's Perspectives. Violence against Asian Americans began with the political rhetoric of the pandemic and kept spiking with 3,000 incidents across the nation. The New York Times
meal is coming from.
Sorry about that.
Anti-Asian hate crimes ever since the beginning a year ago, where people from state legislators to the Attorney General, Tisha James, to Reverend Sharpton, to other clergy members in the African American community, they've spoken out very vociferously against these attacks against Asian Americans. Similar, in a way similar to how Asian Americans really supported the Black Lives Matter movement that came to a peak in 2020 in the aftermath of the killing of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. The message is very simple. We recognize that Asian Americans have been attacked and continue to be attacked. As you mentioned, just in the past week, several cases here in New York as well as in different parts of the country. But an attack against any one of us is an attack against all of us.
That's right.
And we all stand together, and I'm just so thankful that you and QPTV continue to highlight these kinds of issues.
Thank you so much. Well,
So once again, go to qptv.org. It's right on the homepage. Look for this program. Watch it, because right now it's incredibly important to know what's going on. Obviously, New York City and Queens, along with many other ethnicities and nationalities, Asian Americans are a strong part of the Queens community. And as was said in the video, we have to be looking out for each other. So please watch this video. If you're not sure what's going on, you'll get a little perspective. And as the show goes on, we'll be bringing you more perspectives, different voices, because it's important. And part of our job at QPTV in terms of this program is in bringing you, the community, the information you need via media. That's what we do at QPTV, facilitate media. And with that, I'll tell you what's coming up for the rest of the week. We have Queen's Conversations on Thursday. And hopefully tomorrow, we'll let you know what else is coming up on the live schedule for QPTV and QPTV.org. But in the meantime, you can watch any of QPTV's original productions on QPTV.org/QPTV Presents. Go to YouTube, go to Facebook, look for our content. We're out there. But I think it's time. I just started my day in terms of the work around this program and my general work. So I have to cut it short for today. But I'll be happy to come back tomorrow. Thanks again for tuning in to Daily Social Live from QPTV. We'll be back again with more on what you should know from Queens Public Television, because we can't do this without you. In fact, we're here for you. We want you to become part of our in real life social network. Go to QPTV.org to find out how to watch, learn, and create with QPTV. Tell your friends about us, share, and subscribe. Stay safe and be well. That'll be fixed tomorrow.